Expensive cars feel like success because they sit at the exact intersection of money, identity, and social validation. And the human brain is wired to confuse those three things into one signal. So when someone buys a luxury car, it doesn't just feel like transportation, it feels like progress, arrival, and proof. Proof to strangers, proof to family, proof to yourself that you're doing well. But what makes this powerful is not the car itself, it's the psychology underneath it. Because for most of history, status was survival. The tribe leader ate first, the respected member was protected. So modern status symbols like cars quietly hijack that ancient wiring. And the moment you sit in an expensive car, your brain releases the same chemicals it would if you were being socially elevated, even though nothing about your financial reality has improved. And that's where the trap begins, because cars are one of the few purchases that simultaneously depreciate fast, demand constant cash outflow, and convince you they're an investment in your image, not your expenses. And Warren Buffett has always understood this difference, not because he's extremely frugal, but because he's extremely clear. Clear about what actually improves his life and what only improves how his life looks from the outside, which is why he has never chased cars as milestones. Because a car doesn't compound, it doesn't generate leverage, and it doesn't create freedom. It only creates a recurring obligation disguised as success. And the quiet danger is that expensive cars don't usually destroy wealth instantly. They destroy it rhythmically, month by month, through EMIs, insurance, upgrades, maintenance, and the invisible opportunity cost of money that could have been working elsewhere. Because the real loss isn't the price of the car, it's what that money could have become if it had been allowed to compound for decades. And this is where most people misunderstand Buffett's philosophy. They think he avoids expensive cars to save money, but in reality, he avoids them to preserve optionality. Because wealth is not about what you can buy, it's about what you never have to worry about again. And expensive cars quietly push people in the opposite direction by locking future income into past decisions, especially when those decisions were driven by short-term excitement, the feeling of turning heads, the smell of a new interior, the sense of finally making it, all of which fade far faster than the payments do. And this is why two people earning the same income can end up in completely different financial realities. Not because one works harder, but because one consistently directs money toward things that grow quietly, while the other directs money toward things that perform loudly. And cars are one of the loudest performers in modern society. They announce success immediately, but they steal freedom slowly. And what makes this particularly dangerous for young earners is that the first big car purchase often resets their entire financial baseline. Higher expenses normalize higher stress, higher dependence on income, and lower tolerance for risk, which is ironic because real wealth is built by people who can tolerate patience, boredom, and delayed gratification, not by people who constantly need visible proof that they're winning. And Buffett's approach reveals something subtle but important. He doesn't avoid spending, he simply spends heavily on what actually compounds his life: peace of mind, flexibility, focus, and time, while ruthlessly cutting spending on things that only compound expectations, pressure, and appearances. And once you see this clearly, the spell of expensive cars begins to break, because you realize that the feeling of success they provide is borrowed from the future, while the freedom they cost is permanent. And the uncomfortable truth is that many people aren't poor because they don't earn enough. They're poor because their money keeps flowing toward things that decay instead of things that multiply. And expensive cars sit right at the center of that pattern.